So I have a song called Not Gonna Lose that I recorded on a CD I made called The Loop a number of years ago. And right off the top of this song, what I'm trying to do basically is just hit on a groove that will make your head kind of bob a little bit. And it's really tricky. There's a tough pocket to play this particular song, but it's one that I work on. And there's some soloing ideas that I want to talk about in this song, which is a little different than the last one. Just how to think about soloing. So I'm going to play the song, and then we'll start breaking it down.
Some things just belong together and they're no good on their own. Like a window with no light, just like a house when there is nobody home. Like you and me, we had our hard times, that's for sure. But I'm not gonna let you walk out of that door. A little voice inside of my head says it's not over yet. So you can bet I'm not gonna lose your love. What's all this silence about? Can you let me in? Can we have it out? Scream and shout, but I'm not gonna lose your love, no. Now when we meet, you sit over there like you're afraid you might catch my disease. And I haven't said 2 words, or you're already fumbling for your keys. But it's enough to make me crazy in the head. Or you ain't heard a single word I said. A little voice inside of my ear saying get out of here and disappear. But I'm not gonna lose your love. What's all this silence about? Can you let me in? Can we have it out? Scream and shout, but I'm not gonna lose your love. I'm not gonna lose your love.
So this song is basically just in the key of A minor, and all the chords are diatonic to the key of A minor. We got A minor, E minor, D minor, a little kind of 1-4-5 or 1-5-4 in the key of A minor, then going down to the F and the G. And when I'm soloing over this song, I might think about starting with kind of just a pentatonic approach. Pentatonic scales, of course, are just 5-note scales based, in the case of the minor 5-note scale, we get the root, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the seventh. And a common way to start might be in that first kind of box down here, which everybody sort of learns when they first play the guitar. But it's kind of a handy place to anchor yourself if you're wanting to place in closed position on the guitar in the key of A minor. So I'll set that up again, and I'll just kind of show you a little bit about what pentatonic scale looks like in this position and how you can kind of break out of this box a little bit by just kind of going above and below it to the neighboring boxes. Check it out. That's kind of just your basic box, and then you can kind of go and above. And really the new notes of that above shape are on the highest couple strings there. So that's just using pentatonic scale. And of course, there is some other notes in the chord progression that might suggest to you that you could also use Aeolian, which is just like a C major scale, but starting on the A note. And if you did that, of course, you get to... So you get to root, second, minor third, fourth, fifth, flatted sixth, flatted seventh, and root. And when you're playing over the changes, you basically have a choice. You can either try and hug the harmony that's going by you, and which is kind of called hand in glove technique, where you're really trying to fit, if you can, your playing to the changes. Or you can take more of an umbrella approach, which is that first approach that I took, where you're just using the pentatonic scale and just ignoring the changes as they go by you, and just sticking to your guns and playing your A minor pentatonic scale and trusting that it'll all come out in the wash in the end. And a lot of times it does, and it sounds great. So, but taking the Aeolian approach, more of a hand in glove thing, might sound something like... gives you a little sense of just what might happen if you hug the changes a little more. And what happens as you're practicing for how to solo in this manner is that you realize that you've got to actually know where all those key notes are that are changing as they're going by. And it's always in the third and the root that you want to be aware of the changes. And so a good exercise is to just sit there and play roots and thirds of all the chords that are going by. And just do that fairly mechanically. You can do it kind of musically if you want to have a bit of fun, change up the rhythm a bit. So if you got So you got, so A minor, you know. And so on, right? And if you can kind of do that enough all over the fretboard in all the places where A minor, E minor, D minor, F, and G are located, then you can have some idea of where those notes are, and your ear will actually, a cool thing starts happening. You start getting kind of magnetism built into your ears, where you can kind of feel your ear wanting to pull your hands towards those chord tones. And you can no longer be satisfied with just keeping your head down and playing the A minor pentatonic. You start to want to hear that F when a D minor sounds, or when an F sounds. You start to want to hear the B, which is not in the pentatonic scale, when the E minor sounds, right? Or the G. So these notes that are not native to, and of course the two notes are F and B, which if you listen to them together, they form a tritone, which is why they've been kept out of the pentatonic scale, because they're too much trouble. Because eventually something's going to happen, you're going to hit the wrong note, and you're going to maybe hear a bit of this grinding out with your melody and the chord progression that's going by. So they're landmines. They're basically landmines, and you got to watch where you go with them. But when you hit them correctly, and even if you hit them incorrectly, which I do all the time, you can find a way to kind of slide into a note that is correct using your newfound ear magnetism, all right? Which is a very non-technical term, but it's all I can think about, which is that your own sixth sense, spidey sense of how the notes need to kind of resolve in order to form notes that fit into the chord progression. So I recommend checking out a book by Wayne Krantz. It's called An Improviser's OS, which I think he means operating system. And it's just a book full of great ways of looking at breaking out of your old ruts. And he talks about all kinds of really cool and exciting concepts. I actually took a lesson from him in New York City, and he taught me about zone playing. He said, if you can play every note that you need in the first 4 frets of any progression. So if I limited myself in this first bit to this, just and I just said, okay, I'm only going to play in the first 4 frets, and I'm going to try and play everything. So, and you can see me kind of wanting to break out of that prison and slide out of it. But if you do that for every 4-fret zone all over the neck, and you say, I'm only going to play in this 4 frets, and you put yourself into these weird positions where there's, there's no easy places to play the root, or you have to use your pinky more. It puts your hand into a real boot camp, and it makes you, and also your mind, because you've got to sit there and look at the fretboard, and before you play it, you've got to know what you're playing, which is so often not the case. Certainly with me, I sort of get lost in playing sometimes, and I'm not really thinking about what I'm playing. I'm just kind of playing. And if you can start to use a more planned approach and kind of hear the phrase before you play it, see it before you play it on the fretboard, sometimes that will open up more clarity in your solo voice and give you more authority.